Hello everyone, good day. I am Aphril Llorente, the ninth reporter. 20 years old, studying Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering, major in Structural. I live at Trento Agusan del Sur, currently staying at my grandmother's house since my grandfather was long gone and needs someone to be with her. So, before proceeding to the topic, let me answer the following questions. My answers will be based on what my opinions are. So, first question is, in the future administration, what changes do you want to be implemented? My answer, in the future administration, first, I hope that the farmers will be given the right to have their enough income because it is not easy to maintain a farm, especially when they are only a maintainer of a particular farm. I felt it because my father is a farmer and it is very a heartache for me to see my father being tired every day to go to farm, and in the end he will just get a little amount of price. Second, hoping for the better educational system and everyone should have given a chance to be part of a scholarship program despite of these pandemic days. Lastly, implementing the face-to-face class because it is not easy to be in online class always, especially for those students who have difficulties in the data connection due to low or poor signal places they are in. Second is, what is your favorite color and how do you associate this color to your life? My favorite color is blue. It represents as the sky, and sea, which it associates the calmness, inspiration, and freedom. It also represents sensitivity, loyalty, sincerity, faithful, and confidence. And by those characteristics, I can say it associates to myself. Since I don't like to be in trouble, and when problem comes, I will put it in my mind that in any problem, there is always a solution. And calmness can mitigate the penetrating damage. I am inspired by my family and very sensitive when it comes to my loved ones, and being faithful is my thing, especially to our Almighty God. Despite a pandemic, He never failed us to be protected from the traitor virus. Third question is, what is or are your expectations in this subject during the duration of this class? I am expecting that we will learn together about hydrology or the subject hydrology, and I hope that our professor will provide and give that opportunity to us. And since this subject, I guess, will be more on reporting and activities, I am expecting that everyone would not be judgmental, and if ever there are something to be corrected, just don't hesitate to PM them instead of judging them within your thoughts. So let's proceed to the main topic. It is entitled Composition and General Characteristics of Atmosphere. But before that, did you know in 2013, a skydiver named Felix Baumgartner went to the highest level of the stratosphere and jumped? He was 120,000 feet above the Earth's surface. And to think that the stratosphere is where the ozone layer located, and the higher part of the stratosphere is 50 kilometers or 164,042 feet above the Earth's surface. Composition and general characteristics of atmosphere is my topic. But first, let me ask you, what is atmosphere? Atmosphere is a mixture of gases that surrounds the planet. On Earth, the atmosphere helps make life possible. Besides providing us with something to breathe, it shields us from the most of the harmful ultraviolet or UV radiation coming from the sun, warms the surface of our planet by about 33 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit via the greenhouse effect, and largely prevents extreme differences between daytime and nighttime temperatures. The other planets in our solar system also have atmosphere, but none of them have the same ratio of gases and layered structures as Earth's atmosphere. Composition of atmosphere. Our atmosphere is just like a blanket, a warm blanket that protects us from the cold night air. Our atmosphere surrounds the Earth and protects us from the harmful effects of the sun. Nitrogen is the most abundant gas, which it has 78%. Consumers need nitrogen but can't get it from the air we breathe. Instead, it comes from the food we eat. Oxygen is the second abundant gas. It has 21%. Human and animals take in oxygen gas in breathing. Plants produce oxygen during photosynthesis and balance the oxygen content in the air. Other gases make up approximately 1% of the atmosphere. Argon is 0.9%, carbon dioxide is 0.04%, and trace amounts of neon, helium, methane, krypton, and hydrogen, as well as water vapor. Although carbon dioxide levels are low, it plays a large role in our atmosphere. Plants use carbon dioxide to make food and release oxygen. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, which means it traps heat from the sun and slowly warms our atmosphere. Next is general characteristics of atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere is so much more than the air we breathe. A trip from the surface of Earth to outer space would result in passing through the following layers, each with very different characteristics. These layers are the troposphere, stratosphere, the mesosphere, thermosphere, ionosphere, and exospheres. A further region, beginning about 500 km above the Earth's surface, is called exosphere. First, let's discuss the first layer of atmosphere, which is the troposphere. Troposphere is the innermost layer of Earth's atmosphere, the layer we call home, the closest to the surface of Earth. Tropos means change. This layer gets its name from the weather that is constantly changing and mixing up the gases in this part of our atmosphere. The troposphere is between 5 and 9 miles or 8 and 14 kilometers thick depending on where you are on Earth. It's thinnest at the north and south pole. This layer has the air we breathe and the clouds in the sky. The air is densest in this lowest layer. In fact, the troposphere contains 3/4 of the mass of the entire atmosphere. When you feel the wind in your face, see clouds in the sky, and watch a bird flap its wings in flight, you're experiencing the troposphere. It's a pretty nice layer to call home. The top of the troposphere is called the tropopause. It is the upper limit of the troposphere and therefore constitutes the boundary between it and the stratosphere. The second layer is the stratosphere. The stratosphere is located above the troposphere and below the mesosphere. The layer made of layers. Strat means layer. This layer of our atmosphere has its own set of layers. There are no storms or turbulence here to mix up the air. So cold, heavy air is at the bottom and warm. Light air is at the top. That's the opposite of how layers work in the troposphere, where we live. If you were to climb a mountain in the stratosphere, you would have to take off your clothes or your warm clothes as you got closer to the top rather than putting them on like we usually do. But there are no mountains high enough to reach the stratosphere, so you don't have to worry about that. This layer is 22 miles or 35 kilometers thick. The stratosphere is where you'll find the very important ozone layer. The ozone layer protects us from ultraviolet or UV radiation from the sun. In fact, the ozone layer absorbs most of the UV radiation the sun sends to us. Life as we know it wouldn't be possible without this layer of protection. The stratopause, or formerly mesopic, is the level of the atmosphere which is the boundary between two layers, the stratosphere and mesosphere. In the stratosphere, the temperature increases with altitude, and the stratopause is the region where the maximum in the temperature occurs. The next layer will be the mesosphere. The mesosphere is a layer of Earth's atmosphere, of course. The mesosphere is located above the stratosphere and below the thermosphere. The middle layer, or meso, means middle, and this is the highest layer of the atmosphere in which the gases are all mixed up rather than being layered by their mass. The mesosphere is 22 miles or 35 kilometers thick. The air is still thin, so you wouldn't be able to breathe up in the mesosphere, but there is more gas in this layer than there is out in the atmosphere. Have you ever seen a meteor shower, where meteors burn up and streak across the sky? Some people call them shooting stars. those meteors are burning up in the mesosphere. The meteors make it through the exosphere and thermosphere without much trouble because those layers don't have much air. But when they hit the mesosphere, there are enough gases to cause friction and create that. The mesopause is the point of minimum temperature at the boundary between the mesosphere and the thermosphere atmospheric regions. The next layer is thermosphere. Thermosphere is located above the mesosphere and below the exosphere. It is called the heat that will keep you warm. Thermo means heat, and the temperature in this layer can reach up to 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit. If you were to hang out in the thermosphere, though you would be very cold because there aren't enough gas molecules to transfer the heat to you. This also means there aren't enough molecules for sound waves to travel through. This layer of Earth's atmosphere is about 319 miles or 513 kilometers thick. That's much thicker than the inner layer of atmosphere, but not nearly as thick as the exosphere. The thermosphere is home to the International Space Station as it orbits Earth. This is also where you'll find low Earth orbit satellites. There's a lot going in the thermosphere. Now, let's talk about the ionosphere. Ionosphere is a very active part of the atmosphere, and it grows and shrinks depending on the energy it absorbs from the sun. The name ionosphere comes from the fact that gases in this layer are excited by solar radiation to form ions, which have an electrical charge. The active changing layer. Parts of the ionosphere overlap with Earth's magnetosphere. That's the area around Earth where charged particles fill Earth's magnetic field. In the ionosphere, charged particles are affected by the magnetic fields of both Earth and the Sun. This is where auroras happen. Those are bright, beautiful bands of light that you sometimes see near Earth's foes. They are caused by high-energy particles from the Sun interacting with the atoms in this layer of our atmosphere. And so, we reach the last part of this topic, which is the exosphere. Exosphere is the outermost layer of Earth's atmosphere. It is the outermost layer. Exo means outside, and it is the same prefix used to describe insects like grasshoppers that have a hard shell or exoskeleton on the outside of their body. The exosphere is the very edge of our atmosphere. This layer separates the rest of the atmosphere from outer space. It's about 6,200 miles or 10,000 kilometers thick. That's almost as wide as the Earth itself. The exosphere is really big. That means that to get to outer space, you have to be really far from Earth. The exosphere has gases like hydrogen and helium, but they are very spread out. There is a lot of empty space in between. There is no air to breathe, and it's very cold. So I think that's all about my topic. Thank you for listening, guys. God bless.